Hey guys, what's up? Today we're going to be covering sidechain compression in Ableton Live. Now, this is a hugely useful technique used by the top producers to create a bouncing and spacious effect in your track. You've probably heard it used quite excessively in a lot of tracks, ranging from Deadmau5 to Avicii, rest in peace, what a legend, to Tiesto, to David Guetta, to more. And you'll find that the more EDM the track, the more bouncy and sidechaining it is. You'll see what I mean. So firstly, we're going to load a kick into our track. We're going to see if we can just get like a nice little kick loop. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to get this dusty kick loop from the 4 to the floor main room tech house grooves pack, and we're just going to elongate this loop by dragging the clip at the end. Just get the little paper clip looking thing, and if we right click, we can click loop selection, which means that this drum loop will be looped, and once we go from the 33rd bar to the 65th, it's just going to loop round. The shortcut for this is Command L, and you'll see it's great for building a drop because you can just loop a 16 bar segment and just build on top of this kick drum, and then you have a nice drop built, and then you can go into taking parts of that out into the intro and taking parts of that out into the breakdown, and then making a second drop later on in the track, then a third drop, and then an outro. So, sticking to the topic of compression, we're going to get a kick drum, and then we're going to get a bass line. So let's just get a quick bass line. We could draw maybe a MIDI bass line for this. So let's just get some bass MIDI. I'll include some bass MIDI files for you guys. I've got a sample pack with like 800 bass MIDIs, so I'll just include that. So we're just gonna listen to this together now. So it sounds quite good just by itself, but what we can do is, if we use Command E, we can actually chop up this bass loop, or we can right click here, and then if we right click we can split, but the shortcut for that is Command E, so we'll just get this here, and then if I do Command D, I can actually duplicate this across, and then Command J to consolidate it. Now we have a more consistent bass loop. So that sounds good in itself. Something we can do here is randomize the bass. So if we click randomize, it's a new feature in Ableton 11. We get different bass sounds, but I'm just going to do Command Z, and that's going to undo and bring back the original bass patch. So as cool as that is, we're learning about sidechains. So we're actually going to show you guys the compressor. So if I was just to use this compressor by itself, it's got 3 different ways you can look at it. The compressor is what you use to begin a sidechain or create a sidechain. So the compressor may look basic to you, but this is the button that you want to look at if you're interested in sidechaining. So just down here to the right of the on button, this is how you turn the compressor on and off. Yellow means it's on. You can see the settings are highlighted in blue when you turn it on, and if you press this button, it actually opens the sidechain window, and this opens this sidechain part here. And then what we can do is, if we click sidechain, this section lights up, and we can actually highlight the audio from and go from no input to inputting it to the first track, which is the kick. So we can see here 4 to the floor main tech house grooves pack, 126 BPM drum loop, dusty kick, and that correlates to what's here in the arrangement view. So you can see here, if if I press Command R or I right click and do rename, we can change this to Dusty Kick, which is fine. And then when the sidechain is on, we make sure the audio is going from the Dusty Kick. So what does this mean? It means that every time the kick drum hits, the signal of the bass will duck the kick. Depending on the amount of threshold you have, there will be an amount of gain reduction. And then you can control the output as well. So this is really interesting. There's 3 types of compressor with Ableton's stock compressor. You've got peak, RMS and expand. Peak is kind of subtle, RMS is even more subtle, and then expand actually makes it louder and adds a kind of makeup and adds gain or volume to the compressed sound. So we're just going to try peak. We've got ratio, which is the strength of the compressor. Attack is the entry point of the sidechain. So the less the attack, the earlier the compressor starts, and the later the attack, the later the compressor starts, and the release is the tail of the compressor. So yeah, these are my settings. I'll include a sidechain preset for you guys that I use. It's got quite a snappy attack and a low release, and it just sounds quite good. And then here you've got frequency. So you can EQ the compressor. So we've got high pass, low pass, band, shelf, and then there's these ones as well, which are like bell, band pass kind of things and stuff. You can experiment. They'll have different sounds. But I've just noticed is the top 3 have gain, and then the bottom 3 have Q, which is the how curved you want the EQ of the compressor. So here's fine. I guess this is more curved and this is less curved. So let's hear a sidechain. Let's hear what that sounds like. So we're just going to press play. It's not going to sound any different. We actually need to lower our threshold, and you'll begin to hear the effect of the sidechain. So we'll start at a maximum threshold. So the lower this arrow, the more threshold, the more gain reduction. So you can see there's actually quite a lot of gain reduction here. We've got about 49 lufs. And then if we slowly decrease the threshold, you can hear the bass line coming back through, and you create more of a subtle sidechain compression. And you can actually automate this as well, which will get quite a nice sounding effect. So around here is where I like my compression. It's quite subtle. And then here you've got the output, so you just want to make sure that you're not clipping. So clipping is being in the reds. And then we're just going to take that down. But yeah, you want to make sure that you leave it at 0 decibels, and you can kind of see the output here. You don't want to be exceeding this level, or you're going to be losing audio quality. So if we take the threshold back down, it's going to make the sidechain stronger, and you can hear when the kick hits, it's coming through the mix a bit nicer. And the bass line's actually ducking. The bass line's actually ducking the kick. The more we go down. And you kind of get this EDM sound here, where with the really heavy kick coming through, and a gentle sidechain compression. We can try different filter types, and you'll hear the difference. Low pass is quite good, especially when paired with a kick, because it just gets rid of the low end, which is the bassier end of the track. You can hear our EQ lecture for that. And then this one will get rid of a bit of the low end and a bit of the high end. And then this will just get rid of the high end, which also sounds quite good. And we've got these filter types as well. And we can play with the ratio, which I said is the strength, so you can see the less ratio, the less gain reduction. And if we put that up, we get a lot more gain reduction, which you can see, which is quite cool. And then you've got the attack, which is the start of the compressor. Sounds pretty good. And then here we've got release, which is the tail of the compressor. And here if we click auto, it will automatically deal with the release, which is quite cool. We've also got different views for the compressor. So here you can kind of have a knee and change certain things, and then we can drag the mouse up and down, and it will change the gain reduction and threshold of the kick. of the sidechain. And then here is another view where we can drag this down, and we can kind of see in a different value how when the kick hits, the gain of the kick, the sound of the kick is actually ducking with the sound when the kick hits. So it's ducking the bass. The bass is ducking the kick. There's just a few different views that we can look at here, and then also there's RMS, which is, I kind of like this one because it's more kind of like just slightly different. And then you've got expand, which will make the bassline sound louder, and it almost works in the opposite way. It almost reverses the sidechain, so when the kick hits, the bassline actually gets louder, which is quite interesting. But yeah, peak sounds good. Which will affect the peak of the sound, and the RMS is more like the whole sound. Sounds good. And like I said, you can automate this. So if we right clicked here, we haven't really covered automations yet, but this is the automation view. You can turn it on by clicking here. Okay, and then what we can do is we can double click to create these dots and then drag red lines up like this, and it will actually change the value of the compressor threshold over time. So you can see that it's being automated, so it's moving by itself. The threshold's opening up over time, and that creates quite a cool transitioning effect. We could do the same with the ratio if we wanted to. And also if you hold Option, you can curve these lines, so that's quite cool. Bend it like Beckham, everyone knows you can do that. And then if you highlight this, you can actually right click, and then you can insert shapes. So we've got like a sine wave, triangle wave, square wave, low pass, high pass, random shapes. But yeah, that's really cool. Some really interesting shapes there as well. So. It's quite a nice track. If I was to finish this, yeah, it sounds quite good. So that is sidechaining summed up. And then we could do like a cool transition effect to close this down. So something like that, get rid of the volume. And we could do it again here. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that sidechain technique. It's a good one to get your head wrapped around. It's a good one to understand. Some people can see it as advanced, but I think a beginner needs to know about sidechaining and stuff, and it's a good technique to implement when you're making your tracks because it creates space for the kick and the bass line in the lower end of the track. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Peace.